and he had like the early defensive Void Ray the first time, and that worked. But then the second game, he didn't scout the proxy in time. Like he just assumed that it wasn't going to happen. And then in the third game, it was the same thing again. And he just doesn't really react to it until he sees it. And I feel like I'd just like him to be a little more assertive about being on top of where that is coming from. But we're loaded in, so let's get into it. In the Northeast, we have the Red Protoss player. He is ArT.
And in the Southwest, for Storm Gaming, it is MaxPax. Maximilian Paximilian.
Yeah. I believe ArT playing for Platinum Heroes and MaxPax for Storm. Shout out to those guys. And yeah, but that was what we saw. It was like in game one, Goblin did the same build as MaxPax, but then he canceled his natural after the probe left the base, and he just slammed down 3 more gateways and built one outside of his base. And then on Cosmic Sapphire, he did the same thing, except the proxy got scouted, got shut down, and he built another proxy. As that was getting killed, he just started another pylon and gateway, like maybe 2 screens away, still right outside of MaxPax's base. And that one got a little bit wild. And then in game 3, he just didn't see the proxy. He didn't really look for it. And then as it was finishing, it was already too late because there were like 7 stalkers. And he was able to kill the Void Ray over the powered up shield battery. So he just died once the Void Ray was gone. So for MaxPax's sake, I'm hoping that we see him be a little bit more on top of the scouting. Just play a little blindly defensive. It's not like he's going to lose a straight up macro game against most of these other Protoss players. It's just because you don't want to have to make your build inefficient, it doesn't mean that that's always the right choice. Sometimes you gotta there's a reason why the salamander detaches its tail to run away. It's not because it wants to give up all the calories of having to grow a new tail steadfast.
It's true. And, MaxPax, he really prefers to keep that tail on. But I think showing a little bit more flexibility could certainly allow for, things to be a little bit better. That's a really great analogy, by the way. I like that a lot. And this is going to be a proxy nexus. Let's go.
It's my favorite kind of proxy. Am I watching? Is this little Roddy stream over here? It's like the best way to find out if someone's watching your stream is to take a ninja base, mate. And well, I do love to see a cheeky ninja base or two. Now, MaxPax, he's got a little bit scarred after yesterday, I'm guessing. So I love MaxPax's natural because this is exactly what he did last time around. And now he's scouted so much for the proxy, hasn't found it. Did he tag the tower at all? No, so he hasn't tagged the watchtower, so he doesn't know about this ninja base. He's instead just chrono boosting the crap out of a Void Ray. He's fully walled off his natural, which means he's gonna have to most likely kill his gateway to move out of his base. So ArT pokes up with the stalkers. He's thinking to himself, okay, this guy must be going goblin mode on me. That is not what's happening. He is like triple mind gaming him, and I love it. And ArT also walled himself into his main. So for all intents and purposes, MaxPax is 100% expecting this to be like a Giga all-in, but it's actually double Stargate also in the bottom right.
Oh, the double Stargate is so cool. Oh my goodness, this is actually the sickest mind game. The Proxy Nexus is very cool, but you're just like, okay, whatever. Like, it's a Proxy Nexus. That's not... It's crazy, but it's within acceptable bounds of crazy. But going double Stargate behind this is just such a Giga Chad move. Now, I wonder if it's going to be Phoenixes. It is going to be Phoenixes here. Okay. And against the Void Rays, Phoenixes are actually very strong. 1-to-1 even. Stargate versus Stargate. The Phoenixes will beat the Void Ray. Now, when you get up into double Stargate Phoenix, you are going to be able to outproduce them so hard. And this is the kind of thing that I legitimately have never seen before, and I don't think MaxPax would have ever encountered this before. An amazing prepared build from ArT, and I can't wait to see how it works out.
Yeah, we could still end up, eating our words in a little bit if he just gets completely face rolled anyway, because it's important to keep in mind. I mean, MaxPax, his natural is going to be a lot easier to defend. If this proxy gets seen before it can pay off, things are going to get really awkward. But if you don't get attacked and your opponent's done this really weird thing and you don't see any units, you have to ask yourself, what could possibly take this long of a windup to be a cheese? And the only real option in this scenario would be a Dark Templar drop, because it takes forever to build the Robo and the Prism and the Dark Shrine, and the DTs are expensive. But affording all of that on one base and not having seen anything, the next thought process is, did I get jebaited? Does he have a ninja base? Well, I already checked the bottom right, so I guess I checked the top left. But and that's what getting into your own head a little bit is, if you're checking in these areas, just take the tower. Just take the watchtower. The watchtowers in this map pool, by the way, the watchtowers are all way better than they usually are. Like back in the day, the watchtower was supposed to give you like some vision in case your opponent made a mistake, but now he does see the base. He does see it with the Oracle and gets the tag as the Phoenix show up. So he's going to start to lose probes in a pretty huge amount. And we know that the Void Rays aren't really amazing against the Phoenix either. So he's going to have this harass capability. And what is next base? Do you see what I'm seeing here? ArT, what did you have for breakfast, man? Oh, I'm jealous. Well, I guess it's like 2 p.m. over there, or maybe like 5. I don't know, but damn.
So I'm going to tell you exactly what happened as, he does lose one of these Phoenixes. He opened, he woke up this morning. He went to his pantry. He looked in and he said, I want a box of Proxios. And he popped them in his mouth. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to have a second bowl.
He just tossed them in. No milk? Disgusting.
And now MaxPax is going to check the natural, and he's going to be like, there's still no base there. You're two-basing me. And ArT is like...
and so ArT did lose one of those Phoenix earlier, but he saw the Dark Shrine. Now he comes back to confirm that it still hasn't been canceled. It's really important for him to see. And is he recalling the excess probes out of his main again? Yeah. So he doesn't want to bust his main open. He doesn't want to have to open that up and then possibly get attacked on multiple fronts. Now, by all logic of StarCraft, the reason why you don't just take bases all over is because it's hard to get from one point to another. But he's basically said, okay, my main is completely worthless because I'm actually building everything at the forward proxy base. But what he's really done is reduce the rush distance to like 20 seconds from the natural. So it's pretty easy for MaxPax to just move forward with everything that he has. And we know that the Stalkers are going to be able to deal with the Phoenix. Zealots with charge trying to make a move here for ArT, but it's a little bit much to ask for. There's nothing in the geometry of this base that is meant to be defended from a 2-base Blink Stalker attack. There's no ramp going up into it. You have a huge open area. Force fields aren't going to do anything. And this is the downside of this type of attack. So I kind of like the idea of the Phoenix, but unless he was going to get like a 3rd Stargate and just go the most unholy amount to like Roddy levels, we might as well just go full Rotterdam here. And even then, this is still a pretty tremendous amount of Stalkers to have to deal with. So cool idea from ArT, but he's dead. GG. MaxPax takes game number 1.
That game makes me so sad because ArT came in with the most... This felt like the episode of Parks and Rec where one of the characters is like, I can make a burger, like a veggie burger or something that's more delicious than a regular burger. And he spends like hours curating this perfect hamburger, and like he spends so much time. And then the Ron Swanson character just makes a regular burger in like 8 minutes. And like he takes a bite of both and he's like, this one's better. And it's just like, man, you just spent 17 hours curating this, and MaxPax just killed you with Blink Stalkers. Like, you poor guy.
Wow. I like to think of these like mismatches or whatever you want to call them in the pro level as they're all opportunities. And in classic StarCraft, everybody likes to say, well, you should do the same thing that everybody else does and just play better and just play better all the time. And if you lose, it's only because you suck. And I'm like, well, the real survival mechanisms is actually that when you get cornered, you have to try and find something that maybe isn't immediately obvious or isn't immediately apparent that it can work. And that's how you find new things. That's how new strategies come up. You feel pressured. You feel like I need to come up with an answer for a specific scenario. And you try something that maybe wouldn't work until it does, or until somebody else does it in a way where it can work. And that's kind of what happened with Goblin yesterday. So I'm just going to put it out there. I love this style from ArT. I love the attempt. I don't know if double Stargate Phoenix was the move, but if he had, by the time he first scouted that base, he's like, well, actually, he's got a ton of Void Rays and he's going charge lots with it, then maybe there's something there. But MaxPax macro is just a little bit too clean to get overwhelmed by Phoenix because he still had a lot of economy on his own. So ArT didn't really have a way to leverage that debating in a meaningful manner, and I think that's kind of what shut it down. But I hope he tries something equally ludicrous this next game, because what else is going to get it done for him?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I am not too sure. There are a couple of key moments, well, not even key moments, just key things overall that happened in that game. As we have spawning up at the top right with the build of all builds for the Platinum Heroes, it is ArT.
And his opponent in the Southwest, as the blue, the Protoss player, he is MaxPax.
So the thing that really sticks out to me, and you talk about the debating and how it didn't exactly get him to bite down. The whole time that was happening, MaxPax was still building probes. Even though he was building those Void Rays defensively, he still continued to build probes. So what ArT was hoping for, I'm pretty sure, is that MaxPax would cut probes at like 20, 24, 26, 28, and not get to a good worker count. Now, ArT was able to stay on par with his opponent in terms of the worker count for a while, but he didn't actually get ahead. And that is what he was hoping for. He was hoping to be up at least, 5, 6, 8, even 10 probes by the time MaxPax figured out what was going on. And then ArT kills, those 8 probes that he gets. And all of a sudden, MaxPax has to attack right that moment. Otherwise, the game is basically over. But it didn't work out that way. And it's just unfortunate.
Guy in chat, I think, gives us a great answer. That game, that was only 80-20 beef, unfortunately. I think he needed something maybe a little bit more lean. Personally, for me, I'm looking at 95-5 and just try and make sure that you get it to that perfect medium rare. But we'll see, because ArT does have that pylon going up outside of MaxPax's main base. I'd like to see a Stargate. I'd like to see some Void Rays. Either that or just, well, he opened with 2 gateways, so he's not going to go for anything crazy as far as like a double robo or anything like that. But it is a robotics facility, so maybe it's just a prism. He's just going to try and hop, skip, and jump right into the main and just kill all the probes and then expand behind it.
Yeah, it's certainly a possibility, and he's really hoping that MaxPax just does not scout. Now, MaxPax is the kind of player that will very diligently scout. He will look everywhere with that probe. Oftentimes, he'll even send out 2 probes. We got to take a look at this pathway that he is traveling. Uh-oh. I see the red. Ooh, it is going to be so close. That probe actually might give it away. Okay, he readjusts. That's going to see it almost for sure. Oh, man. And with the Stargate, he can just start up a Void Ray immediately. Yeah, he's got it. He's on top of this. He's going to start up that Void Ray, and that is going to be the perfect setup against this. And he sees the 3rd gateway. That is a big deal as well.
Okay, he has a Stalker about to finish in the main. We have a Warp Prism being chrono boosted out of that robotics facility. And MaxPax is taking this very seriously. He is building a shield battery inside of his main. He's expecting to have to battle in his main and need that extra little bit of shields. So I do appreciate that he is taking it seriously. Being a little bit too light on defense is precisely what cost him that match yesterday against Goblin. But 2 Adepts, they ain't gonna kill Stalker next to a shield battery. It's not happening. As for the Void Ray, I don't even know if you could chase down these Adepts, but shutting down the proxy is really big because Warp Gate's about to finish. So ArT's gonna have something to reinforce this. So either you deal with these Adepts, you're still gonna lose some of the probes, but now you don't want him to get that Immortal and start juggling. Although I guess if he has 2 Void Rays, like, what's the Prism really gonna do? He could just build a Phoenix after that. But if he goes for a straight up frontal assault, he's getting 2 more batteries there, or just 1 more. Okay, I don't think that this is too bad for MaxPax. If he didn't scout it, this could have gotten really ugly. But yeah,
no,
he's feeling good.
This is what MaxPax rose to prominence on, is this exact kind of defense. And yes, the Void Ray has been nerfed in terms of both cost and build time, but he is still so comfortable against this. He knows exactly how to make these defenses happen. It is his bread and butter. We are going to see ArT stepping forward. MaxPax will still need to be very careful with these Void Rays, and he does actually pop battery overcharge relatively quickly, but he's got now 3 Void Rays on the map. ArT is continuing to commit to this. This is probably the scariest timing right now, is while battery overcharge is on cooldown, and there is no forge for cannons. Can he get something done? He's going to be able to get this Stargate, and that's kind of a big deal. That means no more Void Rays.
Yeah, this is very similar to the push that we saw from Goblin against him, except because he went for the Robo and did the Adept shenanigans. Like, imagine that he has basically this many Stalkers, maybe with an extra one in there, but it's hitting like a minute earlier, and that's kind of what Goblin was doing because he didn't go for any tech at all. It was just the straight up 4-gate, but this has been a pretty large amount of time for MaxPax to gather up a large amount of shield batteries, to get quite a few extra sentries. The Warp Prism is the saving grace against the force fields. He's done a good job with that thus far. But let's not forget, ArT is on 1 base. So every time he's trying to squeeze these guys out, he's going to be slow. He can build like the 1 pylon, and then he can't do anything else. He's just waiting. And I think MaxPax even has a probe in ArT's natural, so he knows there is no other money coming through. He has to kill him right here, right now. And I don't see that being on the table for him. There's another overcharge. And I like that as all the units get healed up, he actually then manually clicks it onto the Cybernetics core. He's just maximizing the value out of that overcharge.
Yeah, he certainly is, and he's up on 4 gateways right now himself. Those are some great forces right there. The Warp Prism was kind of out of position. Fortunately for ArT, the prismatic alignment was on cooldown, so MaxPax couldn't just click it down, despite it being low on hull, relatively speaking. Still, the more and more time that passes, the better this becomes for MaxPax. Now, ArT is really trying to bait MaxPax down the ramp. He's trying to take advantage of this concave, but MaxPax is just not biting. And battery overcharge is going to be back off cooldown in another like 10 seconds. Cybercore does go down. MaxPax doesn't actually have a replacement here. Now prismatic alignment will get popped, but it feels like he just can't break it.
I think there's two issues now because the Cybernetics core died, is that he doesn't actually have any other tech to use with this. He has a couple, he still has his like 4 gateways, but Zealots are not going to save him from this. And we're reaching the point where if ArT can chew through enough of these units and get to where he can just focus fire the Void Rays and one-shot them, then he starts to run away with this. What MaxPax maybe needed to do before the core went down was try and squeeze out a robotics facility and get his own Immortal to defend against this, which I believe is the one way that he was able to make it happen yesterday. Or either that or he almost got Void Rays and then Goblin just walked past the shield battery and just one-shot it because everything else was dead already. So this sort of just, the weird part is just not actually ever stopping at all seems to be the way to make this work, because we have not had an adjustment made to give him anything else that can more seriously bring this to an end. The 3 Void Rays will eventually be overwhelmed. All the batteries are actually very low on energy, so just relying on that overcharge as it comes off cooldown is tough. Now, the Warp Prism does go into its stationary mode, but he can't get close enough to it to actually attack, and this wall continues to be chewed away at.
It does, but those were some great force fields right there to really break up the concave of ArT. Now, ArT does have a good concave. Okay, MaxPax going to back up, readjust. The Warp Prism will have to expose itself a little bit. I think MaxPax, this might be his moment to go for it. It does just barely stay alive. Battery overcharge is going to get popped. He's going to go for it initially, but he steps so far forward, doesn't kill it, and loses almost all of the punch of this push. There is still 1 Void Ray alive. Warp Prism going to fall, though, and that will be it. ArT will be forced to tap out. MaxPax, another clinical